going to demonstrate to you how to make a bobble head. It's two parts. It's the head that pivots on top of the legs. This is a little human. Okay, first we're going to start making a pinch pot. Start off with a ball. Thumb needs to be straight. Insert it in. Cup this hand on the top so you can feel how far you're going. You're going to pinch, turn. Just keep pinching and turning all the way. Very important to keep the thumb in the inside of the piece, not the outside. If you go on the outside with the thumb and the fingers inside, you tend to flare it out too far. By doing it this way, you're getting it, once you've got your thumb in there, you've got this nice curve of the thumb that's going to make a nice rounded shape here. So you'll continue going all the way around, moving down slowly to the base until you end up with a piece like this. You want to make sure that the inside is nice and smooth here, because that's where this part is going to pivot on here. So nice and smooth. And you almost make a little dent in there so it's got somewhere to support itself. Okay, once you've got to the stage here, the tools that I'm using are chopstick, knife, wire tool for carving out, and a meat skewer. I use a fishing line filament with a bead on the end for slicing clay and cutting clay, and I use an old credit card. I use these tools for when I'm doing a large group of children or adults. Keeps the cost down just by having very simple tools. And also just use for scoring, I just use a plastic fork, and then of course I have my slip, my very important slip. So once you've got to the stage, I come along with the old credit card, thumb goes on one side, fingers on the outside, and I sort of cause a little bit of a curve here. I come along and I pull, I remove the clay, pull it, and I'm supporting the inside of the pinch pot. It doesn't have to be ultra smooth. Kids tend to rush through this process, and it does not have to be smooth. It can have a texture to it. Okay, so now I'm just going to make the nose, just from a small piece of clay like this. I'm going to just roll it. I'm going to squish the end down, so I've got a little bulge at the end. And then I'm just going to flatten down the base. Come along with my scoring. Very important. Stress to the students how important scoring is. Scoring both the piece you're going to add and where you're going to add it. Both surfaces need to be scored. Just push this in. Make sure it gets good coverage of that slip. I'm just going to come in with the end of my knife. Make some little nostrils. Make some eyes. Just going to start off with one ball. And I find cutting with the filament doesn't distort the piece so much when you're cutting the clay. Just put it on there and I just pull it through. And then I can get two even sizes, and I'm just going to score them. The eye, one up here. There's already a slip on my fork. Okay. What I also like to do, I like to make eyelids on all my pieces. So I just start off with thin coil, squeeze it, get my meat skewer. Just score it. So I'm just scoring where I'm going to add the eyelids. Adding eyelids can add a lot of character to your piece. You can make them happy, sad, angry. You can really change the expression. Come along with the back of my chopstick, and I'm going to blend in come along later and spend more time cleaning up. And I'm just going to push that down here. Now there he is. You can also put eyelids coming along the bottom too, but for time's sake I'm not going to do that. Going to do some hair on the back of him. I'm just going to make him like he's bald. Get my scoring tool. Slip. Once again, I'm putting my hand on the inside to give support. Just going to come along with the knife. Just give him some hair. Okay, I'm just going to make a moustache on him too. So, same thing, just squeeze some clay and score it. Slip. Going to make some eyeballs for him, some pupils. So that's stage one. Next stage is to make the feet. Just start off with a wad of clay. You can use your filament to do this too. I just put the bead on the end so I don't lose the filament. Okay, so now you've got two pieces. Basically, you're going to bend them so they're the same size. You want the feet to be fairly heavy because it's got a lot to support. I'm just trying to match them up. Now I'm going to go ahead, put plenty of slip in here, score it really well together, and I'm blending across, get plenty of strength. And you're coming up to a fairly narrow tip up here. If you have a narrow tip, it balances, it pivots a lot easier on top. So I'm going to come up a little higher. Just going to check up against the size of the head. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so you can see where it's off balance here. So what you're actually going to do is just hold the feet down and you're going to push it forward. So it's almost like his knees are here. This is going to put the center of gravity up here, so the balance is going to pivot right here, and it's not going to fall over on you. So it's important as you're making, doesn't matter what kind of a piece you're making, you've got to make sure that this is balanced. Okay, so that's looking good. So I'm just going to make his feet, big toe. Making sure I've got the right amount of toes there. Okay, I'm just going to come along and make some toenails. And I'll do that with a... So I'm just... I'm going to come along later, I'm going to clean up all this area, I'll smooth it out, make sure it looks nice and tidy. So the idea is you just want to get the main structure made first and then you'll come up and do all the details later. And I'm just going to draw some little kneecaps on him. I'm going to come along and I'm going to see how that sits. It's going to be difficult at this stage here to see how it's going to balance because the clay is still wet at this point. But when it stiffens up a little more, you want to come back and get a good balance on it. So here he is here. Now I have not put any arms on this one. If you want to put arms on it, you'll have to build a little bit taller structure. You're going to slip and score to add on. So you'll start off with a longer piece or add on. Okay, that looks good. And to make his arms, just going to get a long coil like this. I'm just going to do a thumb and a hand. Something like that. I'll do some fingers later after I've put it on. Now anything that the children add, you want to make sure it's not sticking out in different angles out here because it's going to possibly break in the firing or the handling process. So encourage them to make any bits that are going to be added, to have them close to the body. You're going to score both areas. Just going to have them, the arms are tucked into the body. And make sure that all these areas are scored and slip to make sure they're going to stay on there. So that's his little arms. I'm just squeezing little elbows. So here he is here. As I said, you can come along and do details later. Going to rebalance it again. So the clay is still a little wet, but you'll come along later and rebalance it. Make sure it's stable, and it's basically your bobblehead. Make sure that the feet also, people make mistakes, and the kids make mistakes and make these too wide. If you do that, then it's not going to have movement. So you have to make sure there's enough of a flare here in the head so it's going to get some movement going on it. Okay, so that's the bobblehead. This one here is partially dried, so you'll see I've come along and I've made sure that we're going to get some freedom going there by having this nice and small up here, nice and smooth, making sure it's nice and smooth in here. Then when it's all dried up a little bit more too, you're also going to come in here and you're going to carve out some of this, of the feet. I've done here. What I've done here is I've just carved a little bit out of here and I've come along with my chopstick and I've pushed the chopstick all the way up into here, so it allows it to have a little more even drying. Okay, but remember to keep some chunkiness there just for the balance. Once again, that's the little bobblehead, the man bobblehead.